everybody, this is Rustin with Metalholic, and with me today, the lovely and talented Cara McCutchen of Mortillery. How the hell are you doing? What's going on up in Edmonton?
Hey, how's it going? Not much. Just got off work, really. Just kind of chilling, had some dinner. That's about it.
Nice. Well, I was going to say, I want to talk about the new album, obviously, but first I want to learn a little bit more about you. By day, you're a welder. By night, a face-melting vocalist. You're all fucking metal all the time.
Well, actually, I stopped welding. I'm doing quality control now, so but I was welding, yeah.
How did you get into that field path?
I saw somebody doing it, and I've always been really, really artsy, and I like building things. I like making things out of metal, and I just kind of saw somebody doing it, and I just thought, I can do that. And I just went for it. I mean, there wasn't a whole bunch of thought that was put into it, actually. And, and I ended up getting my journeyman ticket, and, yeah.
Well, there you go. So, well, tell us about your other path to metal. Sort of when you were coming up, was there a moment for you, whether it was seeing a band in concert, hearing an album or something, where you were like, I really want to do that?
I don't know. Like, I started listening to metal when I was about 13. My cousin, he was from Ontario, and he was in a death metal band at the time, so he would send me a whole bunch of his albums when I was quite young. So I kind of just started listening to them. It was like albums like Leatherwolf and Annihilator and Twisted Sister and albums like that. And, and then, I don't know, to start the metal band, me and my old drummer for Minax, we met at a bar one night and we hit it off. We were hanging out and we had a lot in common, actually. And then we were listening to some thrash and we said it'd be awesome to be in a band like this again. Like, nobody's doing this anymore. And he's like, I drum. And I said, oh, maybe I could sing. And that was about it, really.
One thing sort of led to another. So
pretty much. Like, there wasn't really a lot of thought put into that either. I was just like, yeah, I could probably do that, and it was horrible at first. But it took a while to kind of find my sound, I guess.
Murder, Death, Kill, which was the debut album for Mortillery, came out last year, really snapped some necks and the world took notice. Were you surprised with the attention?
Yeah, actually, big time. It was really unexpected, like we just kind of, actually, I didn't even know that Alex sent a copy of it to Napalm. Like, I knew him and Miranda were kind of sending some albums out, to different labels and stuff, and I was really shocked, actually, of how many people are really into that still, because even when I started playing metal, that's what I wanted to play, was thrash, and nobody wanted to do it anymore. Everyone wanted to play black or death metal, which is awesome. I like that too, but it's not really what I wanted to play.
All right, well, actually, I got wind of you guys when I was doing an interview a year or so ago with Joel from Toxic Holocaust. I said, who should I be listening to that I don't know about? And you guys were the first name off of his lips. So, pretty good when you got...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty cool when you got that kind of support behind you. So
yeah, that's awesome. We actually played our very first show. We had 5 songs that we played, and that was with Toxic Holocaust.
Well, it caught his attention. So now you guys didn't waste any time getting right back in the studio for Origin of Extinction, which is going to be coming out here in about a week and a half on the 22nd, right?
Yeah, we actually, I don't know, we write fast. Like, even now, like, Origin's not even out, and we already have 2 that are completely written, and then we have, I think, another 5 songs that we're all kind of learning. It just works with us. I think it's pretty rare to find a band that progresses so fast, and just, it's just so easy for us to be in a band together, which is kind of unusual, I think, too, so...
Well, I got the sense when I talked to Alex Gutierrez, because you got 2 Alexes in the band.
It's very, very confusing. Alex plural.
There you go. Alex G. When I talked to Alex G last year, I sort of got the sense that he was generally the driving force in terms of songwriting. Does that continue on the new album, or now that you guys have been together for a while, are the rest of you getting more involved now?
Well, I would say definitely Alex. For the EP, he wrote all of it pretty much. I mean, I did lyrics for a few of the songs. Murder, Death, Kill, the guitars were mostly him. Alex Scott did have a few songs like Sacrifice, that was Alex Scott's song, and there was a few other ones on that album. And I think for Origin, it was about 50-50 between the Alexes. You know, and I mean, me and Kevin Miranda, we all do our own parts pretty much. But yeah, for the guitar writing anyway, for the first step of the song or of the songs, I guess you could say, was both Alexes equally.
Well, and metal has always been about the riff, especially with thrash metal. Is that where the songs start for you guys? Is with the riff, or?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, like Alex. Well, I guess both Alexes will just say, "Hey, you know, I got a song," and then we'll kind of work off that pretty much. Like, you know, if they want to switch riffs a few times or whatever, you know, and then what happens is Miranda will learn it, then Kevin will learn it, and then once they have it pretty solid, they jam it for me, and then I record it, and then I write the lyrics.
Now, where do you come from in terms of your lyrics? Do you just write them down randomly, or is it stream of consciousness, or?
I don't know. I kind of, well, actually, Alex Guitars writes lyrics as well, but for me, I just write about things that I'm thinking about at that time, you know, like, I guess Fritzl's Cellar, that was one off Murder, Death, Kill, that it was a news article that I had in front of me, and it just so happened that I had to write a song at that time, you know, and that's usually how I write. Like, you know, if it's, you know, my turn to write some lyrics or whatever, I just kind of write about whatever I'm thinking about at the time, or something that interests me.
Which is funny because that was my favorite song off the first album. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the one I play on most of my radio shows when I played.
Oh, cool.
So, now, are there one or two tracks on the new album that speak to you perhaps a bit louder than the others?
I would say FOAD is probably the most, I think I did the best on that song vocally. I think that kind of shows like what I can do kind of thing, I guess you could say. The lyrics, I mean, obviously no thought really went into those too much. I don't know if you've read them or not, but that's kind of just like a funny joke song, I guess you could say. Also, No Way Out. I really like that one too.
Well, for those who haven't heard the album yet, tell them what FOAD stands for.
It's fuck off and die.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, you alluded to this a moment ago. Your voice was incredibly powerful on the debut album, but it seems like you have even greater control on this record. Do you feel that way, or?
I feel definitely since the first album, I think I've definitely grown as a singer, for sure. Like I think that happens though with every album that you do, you know, you kind of listen back, you're like, okay, I like this, you know, okay, I don't like that, you know, maybe I'll do this more or whatever, you know, kind of thing. So I think I really, and actually the guy who recorded Murder, Death, Kill also recorded Origin of Extinction, and he's very, very honest. You know, when we were doing Murder, Death, Kill, he really put me on the spot for things that I was doing that, you know, didn't really sound all that good, and I was very thankful for it. Like, I really learned a lot in that recording experience. So I would say definitely I've improved, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. You can definitely hear it. Not that you were bad at all on the first album. Obviously, it was very impressive for a lot of people. Metalholic picked it as one of the top 10 thrash albums of 2012.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Now, female metal vocalists are nothing new, obviously, over the last decade or so. You can throw a dime and hit 20 of them, but in thrash, you're really one of the very few. As sort of a forerunner to that, do you feel you're setting a standard for female thrash vocalists, or do you not even think about it?
I honestly don't really think about it too much. I hope I'm not. I hope there isn't a standard, actually. I hope that it kind of, everybody does their own thing, you know. But no, I never really thought about that, actually.
Well, I mean, it definitely adds a nuance to Mortillery that other thrash bands don't have, but it never sounds like that's what the band was trying to do. It sounds very natural, so. But oh,
thanks.
So for you, you were telling me some of the albums and stuff that you used to get when you were younger and you grew up listening to, but in terms of thrash, because that's obviously where your heart lies, who were some of the bands or some of the key albums that really built up your love for this genre?
I would say Exodus, Bonded by Blood. That was a huge one for me. Piranha, I love that song off that album. Leatherwolf was one that, Leatherwolf was Street Ready. That one was one of the ones that my cousin had given me, so that was pretty huge. Annihilator, Alice in Hell, that was another one that my cousin had given me when I was younger. Let me see. Exciter, Heavy Metal Maniac. I really like that one. And I remember actually, my cousin gave me a whole bunch of these albums, so I started going around to pawn shops and just grabbing, oh, this looks like it could be cool, and I was like 14 years old. And I picked up Halloween, the self-titled album, and that just like blew my mind. Kai Hansen is like obviously awesome, and that was huge for me. Yeah, those are probably. Oh, and Grim Reaper, See You in Hell too. That was another one I picked up at
Steve Grimm. Yeah.
I think that was a garage sale actually. That one I got at. So that was a huge album for me too. Grim Reaper. I love Grim Reaper.
Hey, so you guys ought to thrash that up and do a cover of that song. That would be classic.
Actually, my old band Minax, we did Rock You to Hell one time. It was pretty fun.
Well, and I was going to ask you about that. I had read that you were actually in both bands. Is Minax now gone, or is it just Mortillery, or? Yeah.
I about 8 months ago, I called her quits on the Minax. It was a great band. I was in that band for about 10 years, but Mortillery, it just seemed like it was a lot easier to be in that band, I guess you could say.
Right. Well,
it was always a hard time. It was always hard in Minax to find people that wanted to play thrash. It was always a struggle. I just really lucked out with Mortillery, so I packed it in for Minax anyway.
Well, and it's hard when, like most bands these days, unless your name is Nickelback or Metallica, you have to work a full-time job and then trying to...
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, and then having a band is a full-time job in and of itself between doing shows, recording, prepping and, rehearsals and stuff like that. People just don't get it, which is absolutely kills me when people steal the music instead of paying for it, because they don't realize they're personally going to be the ones responsible for killing rock and roll if they don't support the bands.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are you into outside of music? What do you do? Obviously work and the band takes up so much of your time, but what do you like to do? What sort of hobbies or interests do you have outside of music?
I would say my biggest hobby is probably being outdoors, like camping and I spend actually a lot of my time as far away from civilization as I can, as weird as that may seem, I guess. But I don't know, I do a lot of camping, a lot of hiking. I have a favorite spot in BC that I go to where I take my trailer every summer and I just kind of get away from all the whole music and work and everything for a while. I guess I kind of have to do that for me. I like to be outside most. I make chainmail too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, basically anything outdoors I'm in, like camping, anything like that.
Nice. Cara, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. Before we get out of here, last question. I know it's hard. You guys are up in Canada, young new band and everything. Is there any chance you're going to get down and do any shows in the States in 2013?
We're definitely hoping for it. How we're kind of doing it right now is we're just kind of waiting for the album to come out and see where it does really good, really, and if it does good anywhere. But, we're going to kind of wait and see what happens with that. There was talk of tour this summer. We've also have a bunch of shows that we're playing in Canada already booked. So if not this summer, then we pretty much said for sure we're going to go somewhere in 2014.
Nice.
So, but it's definitely still a possibility to tour this summer.
Beautiful. Cara McCutchen of Mortillery, the new album Origin of Extinction, out February 22nd on Napalm. The debut album, still only a year old, Murder, Death, Kill. Get your hands on that. Thanks again for taking the time to talk with us, and we'll let you get back to your evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Take care.